Hello and welcome to Talking Point here on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. It's Fantastic Friday and we're all anticipating, or at least I am anticipating, the mood and the festivities over the long weekend. But I am joined by my co-host and colleague, Mr. Sean Michael Small. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Keaton.
And we're also joined, Sean and I, we're joined this morning by our newest guest commentator to Talking Point. She's making her debut, but she will be with us hopefully every Friday. Miss Janelle John Bates. She's an attorney at law and a youth influencer. Good morning, Miss John Bates.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Fantastic Friday, guys.
Happy Fantastic Friday. That smile on your face tells me you're looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to the weekend.
The weekend, yes, yes.
The long weekend.
Oh, yes.
Did you just say bar humbug?
Bar humbug, yes. It was Fantastic Friday when I was coming out. I wanted to see the best throw down, but the best too busy, you know, with their own fets and all of these things.
The best hasn't been there for a while.
I know. That's the problem. That's the problem.
You sound like an old white man who's just nagging at everything.
Is it wrong for me to want to see all the top soca artists perform at Soca Monarch?
Evolve with the
Hold
time.
on. How often did you watch Soca Monarch before this one got cancelled?
In the last 5 years, not often.
Right,
but
good.
back in like 2010 or so, about every year I saw when Kes was trying to, sway the crowd to convince NCC and the ministry to give him $1 million because that
was back
what
then.
less was unfortunately timed, but c'est la vie, just like Palance.
Anyway, Ms. John Bates, we are here to talk about Carnival.
Yes.
But, whilst we all speak about festivities and whilst we speak about revelry and freedom of expression, it's also perhaps a time of rehabilitation.
Yes.
And from a legal perspective, it gives others an opportunity for perhaps a second chance at life. Now, we actually had a discussion off air, and you gave an excellent example with Romel Papamel,
Yes.
who actually... he actually moved the crowd at Calypso Fiesta.
Yes, he did.
But unfortunately, it seems as though, I don't know, it didn't move the judges enough, which is unfortunate. I thought and I wished he would have been in the Calypso Monarch finals.
Well, your sentiment has been shared by a lot of people. Ramel, as you said, he's an inmate, I think they call them residents of YTRC, Youth Transformation and Rehabilitation Center. And he is the first, I believe, to have actually made it to the semi-final rounds. First incarcerated individual to make it that far at Calypso Fiesta. And I think his entry goes to the rehabilitation part of YTRC. So it was unfortunate in that aspect that he didn't make it. But, the judges, he moved the crowd, yes, because the lyrics of the song, it was basically a testimony of his life, how he started in crime and where he is now. The lyrics were excellent, his stage performance was excellent, but the judges judge you on 5 criteria. Performance, I hope I can remember all 5, rendition, originality, melody, and there's a L, lyrics, right? And rendition also includes your tonal quality, and as someone who sings, I did pick up that he wavered a little bit there, so maybe that's why he didn't make it to the finals, but for someone who, first time in that arena, he did exceedingly well.
I would make a defense on his part. Some of these Calypsonians, they actually shout into the microphone, so I'm concerned as to exactly where the judgment came from.
I do wonder with regards to rendition, if like tonal quality and those things are brought up. To me, Calypsonians are not necessarily the most technically proficient singers.
I would totally disagree with you.
Really?
Yes, the 40 that make it to Calypso Monarch. Now, I'm not really big into Carnival, but I must admit I am an ardent Calypso Monarch semi-finals follower. I would park up in front of my TV. I do go to Skinner Park. Park up in front of my TV and I look at it. And to me, the quality of Calypsos, that 40 is normally superb because they're the best.
Not the overall. I'm just talking about all of the technical aspects of singing, which, to be fair, you don't need to have perfect. It's like nitty-gritties I'm talking about.
But to make it to the 11, most of the people who make it to the 11 are top-notch, generally speaking.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
but let's speak about his performance and,
Yes.
and what it means overall for the entire concept of rehabilitation
Yes.
and opportunity. Because
Yes.
he started off his song
Yes.
by having someone dressed as a prisons officer remove handcuffs,
Yes.
which was moving in itself.
Yes, I heard some people say that that was an actual prison. I don't know if it's true, an actual prison officer removing his handcuffs. I don't know if they hadn't had him in handcuffs all the time backstage. Seems a bit extreme.
It might
but
have been.
maybe part of just incorporated it in part of the performance. I don't know.
The flip side is we don't necessarily know what is the conditions of him being allowed to participate.
Yes, I have been looking at newspaper articles about him to see if there was any explanation as to how he even made it there, because I believed, and I need somebody who is more knowledgeable to explain, that you had to be part of a tent to even be screened in the preliminaries. I don't know if that's the case. I was trying to get that information. So I wanted to know, how did that partnership between YTRC and NCC and TUCO come about to allow even inmates to have that opportunity? Because I think it's an excellent one in terms of rehabilitation.
And let's focus a bit on that point in particular, because as I said, Carnival was a time for people to express themselves. It actually stemmed from the expression of freedom and a source of rebellion. This now is an opportunity, I suppose, for those whom I would say or refer to as society has forgotten. And forgotten in the sense that, listen, we're not thinking about prisoners at this time. You know, it's in the when we speak about prisoners, we speak about if there's a riot, if there's an escape, the prison conditions, you know, or even a court case or court judgment. But we don't think about it for Carnival. So even though there's opportunity for soca artists, there's also opportunity for these young individuals and for those who probably have gone astray to really find themselves again. How important is it in terms of the mindset of the individual, but also the support from society?
I think it's very important. The prison has taken over recent years a slant towards restorative justice, which includes rehabilitation. And he said it himself in his song, because as I said, it was a testimony of his life. He saw his uncle kill his father, and from then he was bitter. He had no opportunities. He felt hopeless. And I think activities such as this, the opportunity to interact with society, gives you an opportunity. It engenders hope in you again. It gives you something to live for. So I think, and it gives you an opportunity to discover your skills. Apparently, he's also an excellent boxer. So giving them that opportunity to explore other facets of themselves, I think, is a critical part of avoiding recidivism. Because you sit down in jail and do what if there's no opportunity? And then you come out and then what? You're more likely to fall back in a life of crime. But given this sort of opportunity, you can find other avenues for when you're released.
Given this current direction of the conversation, it's an opportunity, and he's reached the semifinals. Now, he is the first one,
yes.
Right? So he is not yet a trend unto himself yet.
No.
But the thing, though, with opportunities is, if you don't necessarily see progression, people might not necessarily look at it as an opportunity anymore. They might see the ceiling and say, well, why are we even bothering? So my only thing is, because he had popular support, and I'm not too sure if the public or even, I don't know if he himself got a good breakdown as to why he did not advance. It seems as though Carnival and Calypso Monarch is very traditionalist. Is there any potential of like resistance to this sort of thing moving forward, or that sort of style, or is he too young? Because
well, they asked a lot. They said so much there.
My main concern is
yes.
he's going to hit the ceiling.
Right.
He didn't progress, and now it's going to be, well, this is as far as I could go. And no.
The reason I say no, well, he actually said he didn't make it, and he's not the only person who didn't make it. That was quite popular on the day. There have been other rumblings in the background, and I think the judges said you have an opportunity to request your score sheet. So he could find out why if he really wanted to. But even though he didn't make it, he said, and I think the prison commissioner endorsed it, that the song transcends just Calypso Monarch, and they want to take him to schools to sing the song and spread his message through the song of what happens when you enter a life of crime, what could go wrong, and rehabilitation. Throughout this song, he stressed on rehabilitation and living right with his people now. So I think, yes, he made it this far. I think it's an excellent opportunity for him to showcase and what he can do, showcase what is going on in prisons and bring more light to the whole rehabilitation slant. And I think he will have other opportunities to sing the song. And yes, we are talking about singing and rehabilitation in that sense, but the prison has other avenues for rehabilitation programs that allows prisoners and inmates to interact with the public. For example, the inmate art exhibition. I don't know if you're aware of those.
Yeah.
So it's not maybe it's unique in terms of entering Calypso Monarch, but it's not a unique concept in terms of prisoners having that opportunity to showcase themselves.
I also know about the debate team, Debbie Jacobs program, and I do remember, I mean, that's been there for at least a decade or more, when they had the situation, was it the attempted escape or the earthquake? When we had a large earthquake, the prisoners actually protected her. So it's a very good program. So you're right on that.
Let's for a moment though we're speaking about Carnival and an opportunity for a second chance, let's disregard this as just a calypso for a moment. It's more so of a message of nation building and an acceptance of reality. I mean, Wall of Renovation was a very interesting title for his song.
I thought so. I kept thinking, why Wall of Renovation myself? I still haven't totally assimilated why he'd use that as his song title. And I believe, apparently, he wrote the song, so I want to believe he titled it as well. Again, I would really wanted to hear more from him. I haven't had that opportunity. I think he was interviewed, but to really hear more about why the song, why the name.
But especially, is it an opportunity not only for prisoners, and those who are incarcerated, again, for a second chance, but I appreciate the messaging. Nation building is one theme I can take from his messaging, but also the sense of reality. Yes, we're living in a society which, if we can be realistic and if we can be honest with ourselves, is really falling apart at the moment. Crime and criminality. I mean, since Carnival has been in the air, it has not dominated headlines as it usually would.
You think so?
I think that to a certain extent,
there.
Very much dominated.
It's still there.
I would be disturbed if I was a visitor to read our local newspapers if I was you.
And that's the point. Though it may be within the headlines, it's not very prominent in the sense that people are not taking it on.
Take it from someone who monitored crime reporting.
Okay.
This is not prominent.
Oh, wow.
There's been worse. Trust me. There's been more.
Fair enough.
So this is a real life experience and how you can go about accomplishing that. And I can only encourage this more. And I hope that he is given the opportunity. I mean, we would love to welcome him to Talking Point. We would love to have a conversation with him, and hopefully you could be here for that conversation.
I would love to be part of that conversation with him.
But certainly moving on, do you think that that with Carnival and this sense of life, this sense of revelry and rebellion, do you think, moving away from this particular example, do you think that we're forgetting what the essence of Carnival is? I mean, we're paying thousands of dollars for a costume, thousands of dollars to get your hair done, your makeup done, you're getting fit. Are we forgetting the true meaning of Carnival?
Well, collectively, I don't know. I don't know if we as a nation have forgotten, because there are many people who are entrenched in preserving the history of Carnival. For example, today was Camboulé.
Yes.
The reenactment of the Camboulé riots. And for all that reports I've heard, I tuned into a radio station, it was very well attended. That is what I understand. Extremely well attended. So yes, there's some aspects of Carnival that seem to be suffering. The tents, for example, apparently are suffering, but they've been saying that for years. International Soca Monarch has fallen by the wayside for today at least, but there's still a lot of people who are very much interested in preserving the core elements or the traditional elements of Carnival, if you wish. And
as you just mentioned, I too have been hearing, the Calypso tents have been dying. And that is why I wonder if these are things, like I often say, within the primary school environment and the secondary school environment, most schools have a steel or some, but I'm tired of this recorder,
playing recorder in school. Do they still do that?
Why we can't, as part of the music class, why you can't
It's probably affordable. I mean, buy the recorder and buy a whole steel pan.
No, but not
everyone can afford
most
that.
Schools do have a steel ensemble. Most.
Is it most though? I mean, a lot of prominent schools have a steel ensemble, but if we really sit down and think about the schools in more socio-economically deprived areas, do they really have they may have access, maybe, But do they have a steel ensemble in school? I can't say that. I don't know.
You know,
and I hope you're right, though.
No, and I take your point, because you're right. Some of these schools are falling apart, prominent schools as well.
I did not see the schools.
So they might not be able to afford a steel plant because they can't even prop up the concrete.
So
no.
let's go back to the original question of traditional aspects of carnival. Because when we had Omari Ashby, he was like, well, think about it. Beads and feathers have been here for about 40 years.
Right.
Is it modern? When we say modern, how could something that's been that old, still be something considered relatively new? And he was pointing to the fact that, look, carnival has evolved. The people have evolved it. And perhaps we should just say, well, if the traditional calypso tents, fall by the wayside, if even international soca monarch falls by the wayside, that's just the natural progression, and it is to find a way to make it work. We can't just artificially hold on and prop these things up if the public is saying, well, this is not really interesting us.
I do think we should reinvent, and I attended a tent for the first time in my life, I must admit, this year. And I went to the Kaiso House tent, one of the WSN program hosts. You know who I'm talking about, Rondell. He's the assistant tent manager there. So I went to support him, honestly, so that's why I chose that tent. But what they are doing there, from my understanding, a traditional tent is just singing, right?
Yes.
What they have done is brought theater to the tent by bringing traditional characters who would have monologues. So they had the baby doll, they had the bois man, and they had the jamet, who would have monologues, interact with the crowd, utilizing calypsos from icons who have passed. So words from Singing Sandra, words from Brother Resistance, Ring the Bell. So there are ways we can, and I think we should. We can't just say, well, okay, we want bikini and bees now, that's it. There are things we should do our very best to prop up and encourage, but we should also encourage evolution of the thing, incorporating a new way of doing it. So like what that tent is doing, bringing theater, if other tents were to adopt maybe something similar or just find a new way to do it, we will.
Yeah, just try something new to encourage audience,
younger people,
a larger audience, and more participation.
Well, I'm actually just looking at this message from Miss Erica Charles. She's actually viewing the program, and Miss Charles, I think she answered your question as to exactly how did Papa Mel make it to the semi-finals. She says there's a calypso competition in the prison.
Yes, I know that.
He came first and was sent to the semi-finals.
Okay.
Also, it was like automatic like that, because I'm not sure if that's 100% correct, because what I understood, there were 4 other inmates, residents who went to the prelims, but he was the only one. So maybe from the prison competition, he was allowed to enter the prelims or judged at that point, and then made it to the semifinals.
I think it's still an excellent achievement to make it to the semifinals.
I mean, it does sound as though he just the title alone suggests a level of thought into his lyrics, and to the point where one could hope, well, hey, don't stop here. Why don't you try to, I wonder if you will have the right environment and encouragement to continue as a lyricist, as a writer, because art forms need, I think we kind of take it for granted. It's one of the messages that one of the younger performers in the local scene try to say. We need fresh blood to kind of keep that evolution, or even just the existing structures maintained, because we can't just...
But there's always fresh blood. For example, in the Calypso Monarch semifinals as well, there were quite a few younger folks doing, wow, his name just went out of my head, Duncan, oh gosh, his first name. Aaron Duncan. He was in his semis, he did not make it in his finals. And I hope I'm saying this correct, Tazea,
I can't help you with this one.
O'Connor, Dwayne O'Connor's son, right, Junior. I think he's no more than 21. I heard him at the tent. His stage presence and performance was excellent. So when I see young people like that involved in the art form, I have hope that it would.
Well, I tell you what, I think Papa Mel deserves at least a guest appearance at the finals.
I think so.
Miss Janelle John Bates, thank you. Welcome to Talking Point, by the way. You're making your debut, and we're looking forward to seeing you on Fridays.
Thank you for having me, and I do look forward to being with you all. But I feel like I got a nice easy. We're talking about carnival.
Yes,
I feel you all come in harder next time, you know.
Folks, it won't be this easier on Miss John here. It's going to be a lot harder, more serious topics. But that is then. This is now.
I wouldn't say that it's going to be a bit more difficult. we will have healthy debates.
Healthy debates, well.
You know?
I look forward.
Get ready.
She's an attorney at law. She'll deal with you. Just remember.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, folks, Ms. Janelle John Bates, thank you. Have a wonderful carnival.
Thank
be
you.
safe, enjoy it, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, and be safe, everyone.
Well, folks, that's it for this particular segment here on the program. And when we return, well, we get into our Q this segment. We'll be right back after this.
It's a fantastic February at Massage Haven as we celebrate Valentine's Carnival and our 1-year anniversary. For the entire month of February, take advantage of our special packages. For Valentine's, show your love with our Lovebirds and I Just Adore You packages. Carnival, let's help you glow with 20% off on all sauna and massage combos. And as we turn 1 year old, special complimentary Massage Haven tokens of gratitude and keepsakes within our anniversary week. Massage Haven, 157B, Monroe Road, Cunupia.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fan Zone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
It's our Grand Carnival sale. Jump up and save more this carnival with our exciting deals and special offers on all your favorite items at D-Best Toys. With ride-ons starting from as low as $2,699. Bicycles and tricycles starting from $399. Baby bathtubs starting from $79. Baby bottles starting from $54. Baby blankets starting from $79. Carter's 3-piece outfits starting from $145. Car seats and booster seats starting from $220. Strollers starting from $485. Baby carriers starting from $495. High chairs starting from $599. Pools starting from $59. Visit us in store at First Floor Movietown, Port of Spain, Forces Flagship, MacBean, and Eastgates Mall, Trin City, or shop online now. Don't miss our Grand Carnival sale. We have the best brands for the best prices.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through. Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered.
The conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN Content Capital.
Republic Bank Exodus Steel Orchestra presents The Power of Pan and Kaiso. Carnival Monday at 1 p.m. and Carnival Tuesday at 7 a.m. from Central Bank along the Brian Lara Promenade, Independence Square, Port of Spain. Tickets cost $200. Registration for T-shirt mass at Republic Bank Exodus Eastern Main Road, Tunapuna, and the print shop, Nepal Street, St. James. Contact Walda at 620-4331. Republic Bank Exodus Steel Orchestra, Kaiso and Pan, Power and Glory.
Well, welcome back to the program. Once more, we thank Ms. Janelle John Bates for joining us this morning, and you can look forward to more conversation, discussion, and debate from her from next week, Friday. But for now, the conversation surrounds Calypso, Kaiso, and I suppose the more traditional aspects of Carnival. With that being said, do you know your history? Well, WESN presents the legacy of Carnival. This morning, we're taking a look at Kaiso. Let's cue this.
Anytime you see an election there, what we hear is deja vu. Oh God, oh. Deja vu.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kaiso is not dead. It's only in hospital.
It was dark, dark, dark in a big, big part.
The roots of Calypso are diverse. Some argue it came from Kaiso, a Hausa word for bravo, whilst others argue it stems from the French word carousel, which translates to a drinking party, or the Spanish calizo, or the Carib word carrito, both meaning a tropical song. Calypso music first emerged in 18th century in Trinidad among communities of African slaves. Most agree the musical style was an evolution of West African Kaiso and was a means for storytelling and communicating among African slaves working on the islands of Trinidad and Tobago. Calypso has been referred to as a poor man's newspaper in times when literacy was not widespread. It has evolved from a combination of French, English, Spanish, and African influences. Many early calypsos were sung in French Creole by an individual called a griot. As calypso developed, the role of the griot became known as a chantwell, and eventually calypsonian. The first documented calypso music recording dates back to 1912, when Lovey's string band produced a recording while visiting New York City. In 1914, the second calypso recordings, including the first sung in English, were done by chantwell Julian Whiterose, better known as the Iron Duke. In the early days of calypso, calypsonians formed groups and performed at various locations around Trinidad during the months leading up to Carnival. Since these locations were temporary and ceased to exist after Carnival, they were referred to as tents. Calypsonians took on individual nicknames, and the tents were also named. The first calypso tent in Trinidad was the Railway Douglas tent, which opened its doors for business in Port of Spain in 1921. Among the other tents that opened in Port of Spain during the 1920s was the Redhead Sailor tent. The first wave of professional calypsonians became known as the Old Brigade and included calypsonians such as Growling Tiger, Lord Beginner, Attila the Hun, the Roaring Lion, and Lord Pretender. Lord Invader's song, Rum and Coca-Cola, was famously covered in the United States by the Andrews Sisters. and was falsely attributed to the American songwriter Maury Amsterdam.
They make you feel so very glad.
I'm advising every young woman to be careful with the young men of this island.
In 1935, the first female calypsonian to sing in a tent, Lady Trinidad, made her debut at the Crystal Palace tent on Nelson Street in Port of Spain. Her success paved the way for two more female calypsonians to follow in her footsteps. In 1936, Lady Baldwin and Lady MacDonald. In 1937, Lady Trinidad made history when she became the first female calypsonian to make a record. In 1945, a new wave of singers rose to meet the demand for more entertaining songs. This young brigade included Lord Kitchener, the Mighty Spoiler, the Mighty Dictator, and Lord Wonder. Later on, the Mighty Sparrow became a part of this young brigade. The Black Power marches in 1970 once again triggered a new generation of singers such as Black Stallion and Brother Valentino. This was followed by wider social topics and experimentations by Shadow, Maestro, Merchant, and Explainer. The first National Calypso Monarch was held in 1939 and won by Growling Tiger with his song Labour Situation in Trinidad. In 1978, Calypso Rose became the first woman to be crowned the Calypso Monarch. This signaled the entry of many more women on the Calypso stage. Currently, Chalk Dust holds the record for the most Calypso Monarch titles, which are 9 in total.
It's just a drop in the Arabian Ocean. And stop telling Guyanese they from the mudland, cause all you have is just the water and sun. Hey!
Well, it's very interesting indeed. Bob Marley said, if you know your history, then you would know where you're coming from. And I think as much as we speak about Calypso's sweet, Calypso's nice, not many people truly understand, or the social studies actually teach you where it is Calypso came from and how it has evolved throughout the years.
Well, so I think part of the problem is it supposed to be social commentary or entertainment? And with regards to entertainment, it has to compete with all the other forms of entertainment. And even in Carnival, you know, it's competing with soca, it's competing with all of the fetes and parties now that have essentially evolved. And even those fetes, look at International Soca Monarch and the troubles that it's under, although I think that should be an event. There should be a way for that to be, at the very least, sustainable. It might not necessarily be profitable. Should it be private? Maybe it should be government run, but the flip side is we don't necessarily know if we could trust, you know, most governments aren't known for their efficiency.
Well, I think Calypso in particular is both social commentary and entertainment. In fact, from that video we saw how it was referred to as the poor man's newspaper in a time when literacy was not at its greatest, but Carnival certainly has evolved. It started off as a form of social commentary, and then we saw how they started mixing comedy into it and entertainment into it. Even from as early as the 1930s, we saw that.
But I do think, and not to bring in all of our issues from other aspects of society, but even the problems with Carnival, we see reflected the problems that we have. So the lack of leadership, the lack of vision, with regards to trying to get the various aspects of Carnival to evolve them, to keep them viable, to ensure that, you know, we see the success with regards to the Camboulet presentation, but with the traditional tents, with some of the other traditional events not necessarily always getting the support that they need and watching support dwindle. I mean...
I'm sorry, you had me a bit lost for a moment because of when I was saying social commentary and comedy, I was kind of confused where he was going, but I think I understand.
Right, so like, just take this example. I believe Dr. Nis told one daily newspaper in an interview he cannot understand why the NCC is prepared to spend 150 million on Carnival but won't spend some thousands to look at the economic impact of Carnival, right, so that we could properly understand. And again, that is where we see the issues stemming from bigger issues, because in larger societal ways or in other problems, we have a lack of information. We don't really get enough statistics and analysis of what's going on with various parts of the country, various parts of society, and we see it playing out in Carnival as well. So I think there's a bit of a disappointment with regards to this is not necessarily turning out to be the mother of all Carnival. Now, Monday and Tuesday might turn that around, and we might see mother of all Carnival Mondays and Tuesdays. But the overall Carnival itself, with one of the things that we weren't able to talk about with the Fed promoters, some Fed promoters not seeing the success, the Calypso tents not seeing the success, these are the things that, that we have to be able to look at and do something about it, and not just kind of continue how we go.
As Ms. John Bates stated, he says that's often said, but she herself witnessed how Calypso tents are still being very much patronized. That's good. And as I said, ladies and gentlemen, Carnival, now you know exactly a bit of history as it relates to Calypso, how Kaiso evolved into Calypso. We didn't get much into how Calypso evolved into soca, but certainly a better understanding. And I like that the old brigade that included Iron Duke and Growling Tiger and Lord Pretender, Pretty as he referred to himself, coming into the young brigade, Lord Kitchener and the mighty Sparrow. Then you have, even from the Black Power movements in the 1970s, you saw Shadow, you saw Stalin, Brother Resistance, you know, all of them actually coming together.
You do realize, though, evolution to some extent implies that what it evolves to continues, and what it evolves from generally might get left by the wayside.
I don't think so. I think there's still a lot of comedy and entertainment in Kaiso. It's just perhaps the quality is not there, or we don't appreciate the quality that we see today as we experience.
Or we just need to know how to package it. The quality is there, we're just not packaging it and presenting it in a way for the modern audience to easily consume.
Maybe that is something to consider as well. But anyway, folks, we now take a break for news on the hour, and upon our return to Talking Point, we'll open up the phone lines where you can join the discussion. We'll be right back after this.
Here's your WESN News on the Hour. I am Denise Martin. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Man knocked down on highway. CARICOM heads meet with Canadian Prime Minister. TTPS ready for Carnival weekend. And internationally, Mozambique pastor dies after attempting 40-day Jesus fast. Now for the details. One man is dead after being hit along the highway this morning. The accident occurred in the vicinity of the Chaguanas flyover northbound. The incident resulted in a major traffic pileup since 5:30 a.m. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley joined regional leaders in Nassau, the Bahamas, for day one of the 44th regular meeting of the CARICOM heads of government. CARICOM leaders met with the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Prime Minister Trudeau announced initiatives to help support the region, including $44.8 million in new funding to tackle the climate crisis in the Caribbean, and $1.8 million to target illicit drug trafficking and strengthen border and maritime security in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Dr. Rowley also met with former U.S. Senator Chris Dodd, who was recently appointed as Special Presidential Advisor for the Americas. The TTPS is gearing up for any threats to public safety that may arise over the Carnival weekend. To ensure that the rule of law is maintained, the public order and crowd control simulation exercise took place at the Police Training Academy in St. James. TTPS Gold Commander for 2023 Carnival festivities, Assistant Commissioner of Police Collis Hazel, provided an update of the TTPS's plans.
Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, we are ready.
In international news now, a pastor in Mozambique has died after trying to fast for 40 days, emulating what Christ is said to have done in the Bible. Francisco Baraja, founder of the Santa Trinidad Evangelical Church, died at a hospital in the city of Beira, where he was evacuated in critical condition. After 25 days without food or water, he had lost weight to the point where he could not stand up. He was 39 years old. He had been taken to hospital at the insistence of relatives and followers. Mr. Baraja was diagnosed with acute anemia and failure of digestive organs. Well, that was your news to the hour on WESN. I am Denise Martin. Thanks for watching.
Well, thank you very much to Ms. Denise Martin for news on the hour. Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, a conversation surrounding Carnival, and whilst we understand it's an expression of freedom, it's also an opportunity for others for a second chance, I suppose, at life, as actually demonstrated, I suppose, by Rommel Papamel and his song, Wall of Renovation. And then Sean and I had a discussion with respect to the history of Kaiso and how it has evolved to Calypso. So now we give you the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to share your thoughts and opinions with us. Join the conversation. The numbers are on your screen. Well, they will be on your screen in a moment or two. We just kindly ask that you be mindful of your time, of the contribution, be it the length. Also, of course, don't call in at the 11th hour. Call in now. And please be respectful. Switch off the volume on your television.
Last chance, folks, to call in before Carnival. So if you have anything you want to talk to us about, I mean, I'm sure they might have some important story that we have not touched on. We are not necessarily trying to highlight all the doom and gloom all of the time. So, but if you want to talk about it, feel free to call in, let us know what you have to say, or if you have an opinion on something that has happened recently within the last couple of weeks and you want to get back to it, don't be afraid to call in and bring it up again. Sometimes important stories get left by the wayside too soon, and we kind of forget about them too fast. But we have a caller from San Fernando.
Yes, good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Nice topic. I don't think one of the reasons why people think that Calypso is dying it is because, in my opinion, Calypso is still not getting sufficient airplay. There's only one dedicated channel in Trinidad and Tobago with all those radio stations that play 100% local music. There's a station called WAC. There is nobody else doing that. So there is not enough airplay, but Calypso is still there.
Yeah.
You could see it in the junior Calypso competition, and there is so much content that we don't even get 10% of it, to be quite honest. And one more thing I want to touch on is something that Sean mentioned. The comment by Dr. Nurse that the NCC wouldn't spend a few $1,000s to do an economic impact on Carnival. That is not the purview of the NCC. I am so disappointed with the social science faculty and the Department of Economics in the University of the West Indies that they have not taken the opportunity to do that and give us the information. I think that should come from there.
Yeah, I hear you, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good carnival. Be safe and keep well.
My only comment is I do wonder where will the resources for that come from. And I actually still think that the NCC might...
Well, not necessarily. There are many students actually doing PhD studies. And, you know, their senior lecturers could advise them on, you know, this is actually an interesting opportunity for you. But we have a caller on the line with us from Arima. Good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm watching the program. What I see, the reality ain't adding up. The promoters cry that they're making money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look at the cost of going to some of these threats. Citizens crying about gas price going up, the cost of living, they can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch all years like the amount of fireworks that goes, you watch these feds that we have in, you realize our priorities skewed.
I will agree with you.
You can't complain about pumpkin being $15 a box. We're going to affect at $1,400, $1,200.
Yeah.
It's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And you see the words that start with C. Carnival, commerce, crime, COVID, corruption.
Capitalism.
I stay home.
Yeah. I hear you, caller. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Yeah, man.
Very
Thank
good
you,
points,
caller.
actually. The thing is that I will agree with you to a certain extent, because I think there's so many other things that need to be done from a national level that is not being done. Because the rich is getting richer, the poor is getting poorer, and the middle class is slowly disappearing. I've heard arguments that it's disappeared, but I think the issue for me, caller, is you're absolutely right. We do not prioritize how we spend. Mind you, you might see a certain class, be the upper class, patriotising more of these carnival events than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But these events have been packed out. I've seen that.
Well, have all of the events been
It
packed
may
out?
not
That's
be
the thing.
all, but you do
Because
see these $2,000 effects
what
being
one of
packed
the
out.
articles are saying is that the very popular, very big brand name ones are packed out. And then some of the other popular ones, but not necessarily on the same level with regards to the brand recognition, this year were less than successful when compared to previous years. How less successful, I'm not too sure. But I think part of the problem is, and it's similar to what we see with food prices, right? As long as you're willing to buy, if there is any sort of indicator that there is a shortage, the business, the proprietor, will continue to raise prices. So now, maybe this is the time when we're starting to see a pushback. But the point is, if you don't like, as long as people are willing to buy the Fed tickets, the prices will remain and potentially continue to grow. That is just the reality.
I will
of it.
agree with you with respect to the Fed tickets. I'll disagree with you with respect to the food prices.
Well, with regards to food, we saw that until recently when we're noticing people are saying, well, I just can't afford food anymore. And they're leaving it on the
We have a caller on the line with us from Dabberty. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen. As usual, it's a wonderful program.
Thank you, sir.
But I want to engage you all in a 5-second conversation this morning.
Sure.
Might not be the right forum or the right time because I know Carnival is in the air. But you all often raise valid points. And using the analogy of the points you raised with a lot of strategic plans that are collecting dust. How do we take this conversation to reality and taking it to another level?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know. You all do a lot of time with your research, and you all are youngsters, and you all are doing an excellent job on this program. But how many of us know about this station or the information coming out on a daily basis? I mean, is the target audience Christians that are already converted? We need to create some forums that information from your station goes to the wider public. And gentlemen, not only going to the wider public, to see it actually implemented. Some of the things that are raised. I'll close off with the economics of Trinidad and Tobago. The economics in Trinidad and Tobago is increasing. It's looking good, I mean, statistically, but our resources being fully utilized. And I'm going to leave with that. Have a safe carnival, gentlemen.
Thank you, caller. Same to you. Same to you. Respond shortly. We have a caller on the line with us from Shoguners. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
You are asking where you will get the money to determine the effect of carnival.
The economic impact, yes.
But that is not for no money. That is what the public service agency should be doing. In fact, it was done some years ago. All you have to get each of them to make their contribution. And that's how you work out GDP increase and whatnot. You work it out. Any questions, gentlemen, or queries, or as usual, you wait till I...
Well, my only question to Professor is, how are you doing? Because I know you went well, and it's good to hear you calling in more often. But I hope on a serious note, I really hope that your recovery has been smooth, and I hope you're doing a lot better than you were.
Well, at least the main symptom has gone. I'm not feeling as good as I used to, but I will be 80 in April, so that is to be expected.
Well, we still appreciate your contribution, and we like the fact that you're very much, you're paying attention and always pointing to us certain things, you know, so thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Bye.
Hope you have a good carnival. Hope you have a good carnival. Keep well.
Well, I mean, he's right. We probably do have a mechanism and like a good chunk of his opinions is literally just to point out, look, this is how it's supposed to be. And that's a whole other kettle of fish of why aren't these things being done properly?
Well, I think that's the $1 million question,
Yeah.
the $1 billion question, or the $1 trillion question.
But to the caller before, his question.
To the caller from Dabdi, I can tell you very much that everything that you've just mentioned, we're working on that. Behind closed doors, and when the cameras are off, Sean and I work on a daily basis with the entire team here at WSN, and we're very much trying to get it more out there, because you're absolutely right. This conversation needs to be more widespread. People need to become more aware of it, and certainly marketing is something that we're definitely putting great focus on.
I'll respond to that after this caller from Maraval.
Good morning.
Hi, morning, fellas.
Morning.
I never thought at this time of my life I would be going to play pan and hear a song from 1976, Tourist Lego, being played by Exodus, probably with the panorama from Renegades playing a song from 1984. What is going on with steel band and arrangers and Calypsonians when you allow conventional bands to play songs from 48 years ago and you disregard our Calypso of 2023? They must have some law that you can't play this song, you can't play Road March, songs from the past, and if you're a medium-sized band with 100 players and you win Panorama, you have to go into the large category next year. Because I can't believe I am going to be watching, hoping that Phase 2 will do well, a song from 1976, Tourist Lego, Win Panorama, which I've heard the last 48 years, that song. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, caller. I know this song, but I didn't realize it was so far back. I actually thought it was in the 1990s. I didn't realize it was 1976.
I do wonder if this is another thing. And listen, it might be overblown, right? Because they mentioned this about Tuku. They mentioned this about other things. To what extent is Panorama also not willing to try new things? And in this case, it's not necessarily even new things per se. It's just, obviously, the songs are not going to be quite the same as the old songs. They're gonna sound different. Maybe they need a different type of arrangement, whatever. But to kind of keep up with what's going on, I don't know. I don't know if that's what's happening.
I think, to me, what is rather interesting is that what I've learned is Calypsonians or Kaisonians actually used to write and record calypsos that were meant for pan. A prime example is B's Melody or Pan in A minor, or just from Lord Kitchener. So they actually used to write these songs that were meant for Panorama, that were meant for Pan. I hear what you're saying, caller from Maraval. I think a couple of weeks ago, the caller from San Fernando pointed out that it's perhaps the quality of the calypsos today that you see a lot of these bands going back in times, especially seeing that it's now a first carnival for many years. They want the best as possible. It's a reasonable explanation, but I hear what you're saying, and I agree that the skill of the pan player, the skill of the arranger, and the skill of the band as a whole will certainly be tested, and we will see true pan and true pan players if we use 2023 calypsos.
Well, when you say calypsos, do you mean actual calypsos, or does that include soca as well? Could soca songs be included?
Soca songs could be included. Soca songs have been included.
And I think that's what, this year we've had 2023 soca.
I have not followed pan to the extent that... No, yes, we have actually. I missed, interestingly, I missed semi-finals. I missed the semi-finals. I was very upset about it. I was supposed to go, and I missed it. And semi-finals is what everybody looks forward to. Semi-finals are often touted as bigger than the finals.
Yes, it seems that semi-finals, even for Calypso Monarch, is also...
But honestly speaking, no, there has been soca this year. But if you take a step back, not last year, but the year before, it's Farmer Nappy.
Yes.
If you don't want me to go.
Yeah.
You know. Then that was one of the songs. I think that song in itself won Panorama back in 2021.
I mean, you could hear it. I could hear how it would lend itself to a melodious arrangement with pan. But there have been other songs with reasonable, distinct enough melodies, I think, from the groovy soca genre.
And that's the
that could be
thing. When
used.
Marshall Montano made the comment that power soca is the way, groovy is not the way.
I don't know what I want.
That interview with Marshall was very painful to digest. It was easy to watch and very painful to digest. But I disagree. You see, the thing is, if you're seeing an evolution, and now he was speaking specifically as it relates to the Grammys. Let me, put that statement out there. But groovy soca,
I don't know why you would make that statement.
Groovy soca could be the way for pan.
Here's the thing with that statement, and forgive me, and maybe he knows something I just don't know, but I remember the last time he went to the Soca Monarch, he actually had to pull his own power soca tune because Erupt was not happening, and I think he more or less used his groovy soca tune as his main entrance into the power soca category, because I remember I was at a fete that year and he said this is the next road march, and it was not it. And the previous entry, I believe he won power soca with Float. That's not a Grammy winning song to me, I'm sorry. Yes, there have been other power soca songs that you could argue might be artistically on that level, but usually power soca to me is a very commercialized,
I think to a certain extent,
simple, straightforward format.
And I tell you what, we could be lynched because we're being critical of Marshall Montano. There's some fanatics out there.
Oh no, his groovy soca's are incredible.
All right,
and to me, those songs that are to me more on the groovy soca line might be more artistic and more in line for a Grammy.
But I think to a certain extent, Marshall Montano has lost his marbles. I'm being honest. I think to a certain degree Marshall Montano has lost his marbles. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that.
The one thing though, I guess the one argument I think that I could come up with on the spot from his point of view, so this is just what I think is his point of view, is that power soca might be more unique to other aspects of regional and maybe even Afrocentric type music, because just the rhythm and the pace and the drive and the energy. Groovy soca tempos tend to be very similar to dancehall tempos, club music, so it won't have...
Groovy soca?
Somebody did a breakdown as to why groovy soca, remember, before COVID was becoming more and more popular.
Okay, that's somebody did a breakdown, but do you believe that groovy soca is more and more, they tune the melody for dancehall?
It's not the melody, but the tempos.
Right, and you think so?
Tempos are similar.
Your personal opinion is that?
No, when you literally just count the beats, the tempo,
I know what tempo is.
So my point is, power soca is a bit more is a bit more divergent to a lot of other things that you see. Really and truly, music, there's a lot more similarities and differences when you break it down to its component parts. But with regards to the caller, with spreading our message, I just want to say with regards to that, at some point, any medium is going to have its limitation, whether it's TV, radio, internet, it's going to have its limitation. That's why at some point, commentators, analysts, personalities, they cross over in whatever way, whether it is not just limiting themselves to their own platform, but to other platforms in the same medium, or to go beyond and to go into other aspects of media. Should Keaton and I start to do that? I'm not too sure if we're established enough. I would say though that I would hope that more people will take our example and look to engage in that type of discussion.
Anyway, my last point that I'd like to raise this morning is, and by the way, it's now 9:25, the phone lines are closed. My last point is, again, people might not be happy, but how on earth is Caribbean Airlines in a financial position to sponsor all of these promotions?
I have no idea.
How?
I know why.
How?
I know why. Because these promotions are during Carnival, right?
Right.
And one of their biggest business is probably bringing in people for Carnival. My only thing is this. We know from the air bridge, one-way traffic is not very profitable. We know people are coming in for Carnival. The flights going out, the corresponding flights going out, are they full? I don't know. So it actually brings me back to your question.
Sean, go and study economics again, because you cannot tell me that because Caribbean Airlines is making so much money from the Carnival season, that they're spending it all on these promotions.
Because they want to keep the market? I don't know.
No, that's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm trying.
They more or less have a monopoly on regional travel.
The irony, though, is when it comes to bringing in tourists, they don't bring in foreign-born, non-diaspora, non-native tourists. Caribbean Airlines does not bring in tourists from Scandinavia. Caribbean Airlines does not bring in tourists from Germany.
Oh gosh, all right.
Right? Caribbean Airlines brings in people who, for the most part, are the diaspora, who are connected to us in some way. That's just the reality of it, right? It's still tourists, it's still foreign dollars, but to say that it's helping the network of the word of mouth, the marketing, spreading the culture down to people who don't know of us previously. I don't know to what extent they're helping with that.
As I was going back to my original point,
I was trying to give you an explanation.
I don't know how on earth Caribbean Airlines could afford to have all these marketing promotions and how they're paying all these individuals, or how they're even forking out this money, or where the money is coming from. But it seems as though their entire campaign costs more than the NCC's budget for Carnival. Because this is amazing to me. But anyway, I just hope at the end of the year this state entity actually makes a profit. Also, very, very quickly with the time that we have left, I can only hope it's Carnival time, and maybe I'm a hypocrite or stupid for even raising this point. But I'm only going to ask, all these loud music trucks, all these bars, all these... could you please cut off maybe by about 10, 11 o'clock in then? Because as much as you may think all of Trinidad participates in Carnival, residents of Woodbrook, in residential areas in particular, being mindful of how loud your music is and the mere fact that you're in a residential neighborhood. I'm only asking you to be considerate to that extent.
I think the EMA needs to have even more teeth because, and here's why. We went to a church yesterday to film something. There was a funeral. In the morning. Who would have thought that a sound check for a fete that night is going to go for the whole morning? Then next to church, the church has a funeral. Nobody was thinking, maybe this might not be very respectful
and that is
for the people
exactly
looking to mourn the deceased.
A lot of these promoters and a lot of these bar owners and supermarket owners do not think about respect. They're only very much selfish about themselves. Please be mindful of that. Again, people won't criticize Keaton. It's carnival time.
No, but
come on,
I
guys.
agree with you, and I think this is also again a symptom of the lack of our ability to enforce our laws.
And the final point is, and by the way, EMA, what's EMA?
I don't
know what EMA is.
They're just there to close down the big feds when they get fed up.
And to go to pet stores and tell them you're not allowed to sell turtles anymore.
Really?
Apparently so. Right, so I don't know what the EMA is doing or what the EMA is.
Somehow I don't think turtles are
for.
going to be as bad as African snails, but hey, you know.
Whatever.
The horse already bolts out the
I
barn.
don't know what the EMA manages besides the building next to the Oval. But anyway, also as we close, speaking of the environment, again, just to send a message out there, trying to do my part. Listen, Tragrit Road already this morning is an absolute mess. There's garbage all over the place. I don't know why there's not bins that are set up, at least throughout the carnival path. I don't know if that was ever thought of, if that is something that's going to happen. But it is a mess this morning. It's going to be a mess throughout the weekend. Garbage collection services are not going to be there, and CPAP is not going to be there all the time. People say, yeah, you're going to see them. Nah, listen, do your part. Please use a bin, carry a bag, do something. Stop littering.
This is my guess. My guess is, this is just a guess, that whoever is in a position to potentially do something about the excess garbage in the last week or so, and carnival period and the period before carnival, leading up to carnival, it's not necessarily part of their job description. So my guess is they don't necessarily care or want to put any extra effort or don't want to have to ask for the extra budget or whatever to get it done, because it'll be a hassle, because they'll have to actually do work. And a significant fraction of people in the public service, they're just there to...
Okay, you're going too far.
Wow, just saying.
You're going a little too far. No, you talking garbage. That's where we end it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Talking Point. Sean, enjoy your weekend, 4 days of rest. I hope you come back in a better mood next week, Wednesday. A lighter mood. And folks...
you're the one saying that there's litter in the streets and all this doom and doom.
There is.
I'm just following up through.
And ladies and gentlemen...
I'll take a nice rest.
This has been Talking Point. I'm Keaton Shaw. Please, enjoy the festivities.
Be safe.
Live it up. Life of color, life of revelry.
Live it up. Live it up safely.
But today is a good day to have a good day. A great weekend, a great carnival. May it be safe. And should things go well, and we really, really hope it does, we'll see you on Wednesday morning. Bye-bye.